As a person that has spent a lot of their time writing creepypastas over the past 3 years, I've learned that it's not just a good plot and good general story that sells a creepypasta, but it's the ending too. A lot of creepypastas can be saved from being absolutely terrible due to an alright ending, but today I'm going to cover some stories that unfortunately do not fit into that category. In fact, they are hindered by their ending. So today everybody, I'm counting down the top 10 worst creepypasta endings. Without any more further delay, let's just get right into it. Coming in at the number 10 spot, we have Red Mist. While yes, I do like this story a little bit more than I guess the average person would, I won't deny that it definitely has some flaws, and in my opinion the ending of Red Mist definitely is a bit of a hindrance for the story. Because the ending ends in kind of a weird way. It ends with the main intern of Nickelodeon just saying that they tend to question the supernatural things more. Well, after doing some thinking about it with me and my friend Summit, we've kind of thought that it doesn't really make any sense, because how was the episode of Red Mist supernatural in any way? I mean, yes, for sure it is definitely creepy, but not supernatural. It just looks like something edited. Hell, they literally even say during the creepypasta that the writers and whoever makes the episodes, they mess around with the title cards, you know, in their spare time before the actual episode is released. So who's to say that one of them just didn't edit the actual episode of Fear of a Krabby Patty? Yeah, I get that the story was probably trying to be, like, insightful and, you know, cool with the ending and whatnot. But I just don't think it ended up paying off towards the end, and it just kind of dragged it down a bit more for me. So that is why Red Mist's ending sits at a number 10 spot. At number 9 we have The Grieving. Yes, The Grieving, despite also being a really bad creepypasta in general, also has one of my least favourite endings as well. But the reason why it's only at number 9 as opposed to being any lower is simply because, well, the story's already bad enough, so the ending doesn't really make it any more bad than it already is. The ending is basically just, you know, the letter that the person gets from the creator of Amazing World of Gumball, I can't say his last name. And then it ends with them just unnecessarily describing how Gumball, Anais, and Darwin died. Like, we already know how they died, you don't have to repeat it. In fact, I'd rather you not repeat it due to it being really disturbing. It also ends on a to be continued setting up a part 2, which I don't know if it ever materialized. I'm really hoping it didn't, because man, I'm tired of The Grieving. It's just a really bad creepypasta in general, and the ending definitely does not sport it any favours, which is why The Grieving takes home the number 9 spot. At the number 8 spot we have Eyeless Jack. Yet another story that is already bad, but also done more dirty due to the ending. Yes, I already don't like Eyeless Jack, but the ending, in my opinion, also makes it worse, because it ends in such an unrealistic and stupid way. The ending ends with the main character leaving the house after discovering Edwin's corpse, his brother, and finding his kidney with a bite taken out of it. What infuriates me the most about this ending is, why the hell doesn't he tell anybody? Why doesn't Mitch tell anyone? Is he just gonna let a killer roam about the house like no problem? Let whoever moves in next die? And he's not going to tell the police or anything that he's just found the corpse of his brother in the house. No, he's just going to drive off and let the next unfortunate family discover it. There's kind of no resolution here. It just annoys me at the fact that they just end it this way. It's not a cool ending, it's not really a creepy ending, it just raises a lot more questions about the IQ of the main character, which was already being questioned due to his actions in the actual story. All of that being said leads me to put Eyeless Jack at number 8 for the worst creepypasta endings. Let's go to number 7. Coming in at the number 7 spot, we have Dead Bart. Now this story is also another one that is already kind of bad, but the ending is definitely not sporting this one any more favours either. Now when I first read this story a while ago, the ending kinda confused me, and even to this day it still confuses me. Which is why I'm putting it here. It doesn't make any sense. The ending of Dead Bart goes as follows. A thought occurred to me after seeing the episode for the first time. You could try to use the tombstones to predict the deaths of Living Simpsons guest stars, But there's something odd about most of the ones who haven't died yet. All of their deaths are listed as the same date. What does that mean? Does that mean all of the living guest stars are going to die on the same day? Does that mean as they die, the episode will edit itself and change the tombstone's date to their death day? Like, what does that ending mean? It doesn't really explain anything or change anything. It just raises a lot more questions. And the story definitely could have benefited from a better ending, because man, this story is just bad. But all of this and more leads me to put Dead Bart at the number 7 spot. Coming in at the number 6 spot, we have Max and Ruby 0004. With this story, we are officially entering the something from the creepypasta, be it the episode, the video game, appears in real life and haunts or creeps out the player. Max and Ruby 004 is the start of this, and honestly these next couple entries you could put in any order because they're just as bad as each other. Despite how already cringe-inducing this story is, the ending is even worse. The ending goes as this. I heard what sounded like somebody posting something through the door. At this point the DVD had left my mind since I hadn't told anyone about it. However, it all came flooding back when I looked down at the letter in front of me. It was messily folded up and said, "Death is our only release." And as you guys might know, "death is our only release" is kind of the main phrase that's used in this story. You know how a lot of creepypastas have like main catchphrases like Jeff the Killer's is "go to sleep" for instance, Smile Dogs is "spread the word" and so on. Rule number 1 when it comes to making a creepypasta: never include something from the creepypasta and put it in real life to haunt the player, character, or whoever. It does not make the story more scary, it makes the story more ridiculous. That is basically the rule number 1 I can always suggest to any creepypasta writer. So a ridiculous ending on top of a really bad story guarantees Max and Ruby 0004 the number 6 spot. Appearing at number 5, we have Pokémon Glitchy Red. Now you probably could have guessed that at least one Poképasta was going to make the list, as I've already done a top 5 list on itself about bad Poképastas, as pretty much 60% of them are just hot garbage. And Glitchy Red is definitely one of them. The story of Pokemon Glitchy Red is like kind of Doki Doki Literature Club in a way, where the main character in the game gains sentience and like, instead of just trying to date the player, Red wants to destroy everything because he's being mistreated or something like that. And the ending of the story really drags it down. I have a much deeper respect for the silent protagonists in the game, for all we put them through. Lavender Town used to creep me out, but now I find it very peaceful, as even Red, who wanted revenge on the world for treating him horribly, could never mess with the resting place of the fallen Pokemon. Someday, I hope I stop waking up with scratches on my torso. And here we go again with something coming out of the game to attack the player. Still ridiculous. Like, what does this mean? Red all of a sudden grew demon claws and started attacking the player in his sleep? Shouldn't he be reporting these to the doctors or something? Why does he just not say anything to anybody about scratches appearing on his body? That's not exactly normal. The story is already written very poorly, with weird cliches, pretty much as many as you can think in Pokemon. This ending ramps the cringe up to about a 10.5. All of these reasons justify me putting Pokemon Glitchy Red at number 5. Coming in at the number 4 spot, we have Mr. Mix. I kind of feel like a broken record at this point where I'm just saying the same things over and over again, but you can see the problems with this one. However, Mr. Mix is a little bit different in a way. Instead of the titular Mr. Mix character, I don't know, coming out of the game and attacking the player, it's something a bit different but kind of the same. Mr. Mix is, you know, the whole point of the story is that a bunch of hackers or group of people try to get into a lost stage of the game that's like super glitchy, and if you see it, some messed up stuff happens. But here is the ending. 2 years after this incident, a man was arrested after trying to kidnap an 8-year-old girl from a grocery store. Through DNA and fingerprint analysis, this man was identified as one of the original hackers who viewed the final level of the game. He was wearing a white chef's hat and had a look of unspeakable malice and insanity on his face. Once interrogated, the man would only say one thing: I'm Mr. Mix. Shh. Well, for one, the ending line of I'm Mr. Mix shh in that creepy way is already pretty cringy. But why would the person begin imitating something that gave them psychological trauma? You think they would do everything in their power to get away from something that traumatized them so much, not take on the mantle of Mr. Mix, surely. Am I the only one who also finds that really ridiculous how a person who is traumatized by the Mr. Mix level becomes Mr. Mix? Like, what kind of sense does that make, am I right? A ridiculous ending that doesn't make any sense, plus it just overall ending in a cringy way, guarantees Mr. Mix a spot at number 4. Coming in at number 3, we have the Tails Doll Curse. Now, the Tails Doll Curse is definitely one of the more well-known creepypastas out there, and if you've read the story, you know exactly what I mean by this story having a bad ending. The story follows Gil and Noah after buying a haunted copy of Sonic R from an EB Games, and pretty much the whole story just follows them playing the game. It starts acting weird, levels start going strange, the Tails doll kind of kills Super Sonic, you know, stuff like that. However, towards the second half of the story, the Tails doll appears in real life, Gil takes it into the house, washes what appears to be blood off of it, and just leaves it without questioning it. They then play the tag game as the Tails doll, it comes to life and goes Halloween on this shit, by basically just trying to kill them all. So Gil and Noah are basically trying to fight back against this demonic Chucky type shit. Nice quote from Some Ordinary Gamers there. But I just feel like his quote was the perfect way to describe it, because that's exactly what it is. It just turns an alright concept into B-movie horror. And the ending, whew, makes it even worse. The ending basically resolves to the Tails doll brutally slaughtering Gil and Noah, and then magically disappearing back into the television again like nothing happened. The police arriving at Noah's house, and discovering the remains and finds the game of Sonic R and the Sega Saturn, and then just randomly begins playing the tag game again. Why? Why would a police officer mess with the evidence of a crime scene to play a video game? What kind of sense does that make? Surely the person in question would lose their job. I don't understand why they wouldn't prioritize looking for the thing that killed 2 children and instead play a haunted Sonic game. Like, what sense does that make? It already turns a cringe-inducing ending of a story into one that is just so stupid it doesn't make any sense. Those reasons are why I put the Tails Doll Curse at number 3 for the worst endings. Coming in at number 2, we have Pokémon Dead Channel. Now, arguably with this one, you could put any of these creepypastas, Sonic EXE and Sally.exe, in this spot, because Pokémon Dead Channel and those 2 stories have the exact same ending pretty much. As we all know, Pokémon Dead Channel follows the story of a player who is socially reclusive and plays Pokémon Channel all the time as a kid. They become attached to the Pikachu in the game, naming him BRVR, short for brother. They eventually grow up, move on, blah blah blah, and then another accident in the social life then leads them to become socially reclusive once more, and then they go up and reboot their old copy of Pokémon Channel, only to find BRVR going crazy, killing Pokémon with all sorts of blood and cliches that are stupid. But then of course the ending really crashes and burns the story. After BRVR randomly begins talking to the player through the game, this is what happens. Those messages didn't shock me anymore. If anything, I was expecting it. After a few long moments of just staring at each other, I finally started to lose it. "What are you gonna do with me now?" I asked. "BRVR wants you to suffer the way he did," the game answered. He cast me one last wicked grin, the widest and most grotesque I've ever seen, and the screen cut to black. After a moment, the title screen appeared once again. The continue button was gone. I sighed in relief at this horrifying reunion was finally over. I got up and looked back at my desk. On it was a Pikachu Doll Z. Yep, a haunted scary doll from the game comes out of the game and scares the player in real life. How scary, how revolutionary, how totally not cringe. And yeah, Sonic.exe and Sally.exe have the same problems. So you may be asking why I chose Pokémon Dead Channel over the 2 EXEs. It's actually because Pokemon Dead Channel predates both EXE stories, making it the first to do the whole doll comes out of the game and scares the player at the end. But what could be worse? What could possibly be worse than a scary doll coming from a game and scares the player at the end? Well, the number 1 spot goes to Crybaby Lane. If there was any ending of a story that was so bad, you wonder why the hell it even got off the drawing board, it's this ending. This creepypasta is based off of Crybaby Lane, which is kind of a lost media thing of Nickelodeon. The actual piece of lost media was found, but this was before I believe it was found, and oh my god, it is horrible. The story of Crybaby Lane follows a Nickelodeon intern. Gee, does that sound familiar? And the whole story basically follows the production and creation of Crybaby Lane. And then this guy kind of takes over, this person, Laura, I think his name is, it's kind of hard to pronounce the name. And it basically just describes that this person has wild manipulation and persuasion powers. Like, he suggests the most screwed up stuff, like death, cannibalism, murder, for Nickelodeon by the way. And then all the people just magically go along with the idea and say it's cool. With tons of swearing and cringy writing in it as well. The overuse of the F word constantly. And pretty much it basically explains that this man, every single piece of cool Nickelodeon media that you know, is somehow connected to some dark, screwed up things dreamt up by this man, because they are so slightly related to the story. I'm going to read you the ending of this story, and you will see why it is so trash. And I really can't believe what I'm about to read to you, so be prepared. Law suggested in one scene of the movie for a man with a squid-like nose to take his pants off in front of the 2 boys and, yeah, off camera, but heavily implied. And this just happens to be how Squidward was inspired in SpongeBob. It was suggested that 2 stepbrothers are forced to live in the same house after the first one's mother was found dead in a shallow grave, her body heavily cannibalized by her own husband, a local weatherman, and this somehow becomes Drake and Josh. Laura also suggested that the younger brother have a doghouse in which he keeps various animal fetuses encased in acid that he regularly uses to poison his mother to... Oh, I swear I'm not making this up, I'm legitimately struggling to read this. To have sex with his abusive stepfather, as told by Ginger, is somehow this. A man who captures the souls of children in a vacuum cleaner and sends them to Hades? Danny Phantom. A robot who goes insane on 2 brothers, kills one of them, wears his skin, pretending to be the brother at a high school? That's somehow my life as a teenage robot. The list goes on and on. Nickelodeon knows, and they're continuing his legacy, sometimes subtly and sometimes overtly, and there's nothing you and I can do about it. Do you want to see it? You got it. Okay, I think we can all agree. What the fuck was this person thinking when they came up with this story? This story is now in the top 10 of the most disgusting creepypastas I've ever read. Why? Why would they ever allow somebody with this disgusting ideas to somehow take control of a product at Nickelodeon, a children's company? What kind of sense does that make? Whoever was writing this story, did you actually take the time to think and actually walk through about this idea, because it doesn't make any sense. And this ending really pisses me off, that all of this disgusting messed up stuff is somehow linked and is the main idea behind some beloved kids shows like SpongeBob SquarePants and As Told by Ginger. It really infuriates me that this exists, and I'm genuinely upset by it. And it also makes the top 10 of my least favourite creepypastas of all time, and 100% deserves the number 1 spot of the top 10 worst creepypasta endings. Whoever wrote this story, please never write again. And if you're going to write again, please think before you write, because this story is absolutely disgusting. That was a rant and a half. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this top 10. If you did, be sure to like, comment and subscribe, and hit the bell so you're always notified of my latest videos. And comment down below, Which creepypastas do you think have the worst ending? Be sure to leave me your top 5 or top 10 in the comments if you would like to. But I will see you all in the next video. Take care, my dorks.